Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today I wanted to do something a little bit different. This is a little bit different from the normal video that I tend to post. This is more of a in-the-moment kind of thing. Just wanted to get my thoughts out there regarding the latest news about Nintendo Switch 2 potentially launching next year within the first few months of 2025 rather than what was originally thought, which was this year, the later half of 2024. So while my thoughts are still fresh, I wanted to just kind of get them out there, kind of vent a little bit, because I do have some things to say, some things that people may or may not like to hear. So yeah. Now, I don't really consider myself or this channel, Robbie Bobby, a news channel. I don't consider it a channel in which you'll tune in to hear the latest news about Nintendo and the gaming industry, but there are times when I do want to talk about certain up-to-date events, I guess you could say. So this is going to be, again, like I mentioned earlier, a little bit different. So what's the story? What's the scoop right now? Well, according to a number of different parties, there are reports all over the place from Bloomberg, from VGC, Video Games Chronicle, from basically reputable sources that are suggesting that Nintendo Switch 2 will be launching next year instead of what was internally supposed to come out this year. And what I mean by internally is from within Nintendo, the plan was apparently for the next-gen system, the Switch 2, or whatever it's going to be called, the plan was for it to launch this year, later this year, with a possible reveal next month even. That does not look to be the case anymore regarding the release. It does not look to be releasing in 2024 anymore. And that, well, if I'm being completely honest, it blows. It really, really sucks. And when I first heard the news, well, first of all, obviously take this all with a grain of salt. Take every single rumor with a grain of salt. I have no problem with anyone discussing rumors. In fact, I think it's really fun to do that. But at the end of the day, they are just rumors, right? So we can't just believe everything we hear. But when a lot of sources come together and corroborate each other like this, it sort of makes you wonder that is there some truth to this? And yes, I do believe there is some truth to this, but is it telling the full story? And I've watched other YouTube videos from people like Nintendo Prime, from other YouTube channels, that kind of suggest that perhaps that Nintendo is planning to launch this system at different times depending on the region. So for example, maybe, just maybe, in Europe, it may be delayed. Or maybe, just maybe, in Brazil, it'll be delayed. Or maybe in America here, it'll be delayed. But what if it's only a delay depending on a certain region? So everywhere else, let's say, different places, it's delayed. In Europe, it's delayed to 2025, but somehow in North America, they want to still launch it in 2024. Then that's also a possibility. It's a very small possibility in my opinion, but it's still a possibility. I still want to entertain it because a part of me is still kind of in denial about all of this, to be honest. I really don't want it to be true if I'm being completely for real with you guys. And that's the point of this video, is I just want to kind of be for real with my feelings towards this news. I don't like it. I don't really like the news. I think 2024 made and still does make a lot of sense to release the system. I understand that some people are saying, oh, the PlayStation 5 Pro might be releasing later this year. These are two completely different systems. At the end of the day, when you look at PS5 versus Nintendo Switch is in its 7th year and it's still doing really, really well, which we'll get to in a minute regarding that and why I feel it doesn't really matter whether the system is doing well. I still think that there is enough momentum there that it should be carried over to the next system, which means release it this year and don't wait until momentum really dies. But I don't really think it's necessarily a sound reason to say that just because the PS5 Pro comes out later this year, it means that Nintendo shouldn't release their hotly anticipated system. I don't think they should really worry about it too much. I can see maybe some attention being taken away, but again, to delay it by a few months to next year, it kind of feels a little bit ridiculous. But we are talking about Nintendo, and this, at the end of the day, this feels like a very, very Nintendo thing to me, and that's why I partially believe it. Because even though it sounds crazy, and from any other company or studio, you would probably not really believe it, but when it comes to Nintendo, something like this, like, they were about to announce it. Rumor, again, I'm basing this all on rumors, so that's why I will admit that there's no reason to really be upset. What right do I have to be upset if these are all rumors and Nintendo officially hasn't announced anything? But still, it's just my feelings towards the situation, you know? And assuming that these things are true. This video is simply being made under the assumption that these things are true. And if they are, well, that means the anger kind of is a little justified because it means that it was true. Now, of course I'm angry, but I'm not insanely, like, I'm not, like, that angry. It's not a big deal. It's not the end of the world. We can wait an extra 3 to 4 months, delay, whatever. But, again, to say that I'm okay with this is a bit of a stretch. I'm definitely not. But, yeah, I do apologize if my thoughts are all over the place in this video. I do apologize for that. But going back to the Nintendo thing, yes, this is a very Nintendo thing to do and to just see. Like, when we see news about Nintendo, sometimes you wonder what on earth is going on. Why did they decide to do that? And this is one of those things. Why now? When it was rumored to be announced next month, why is it so suddenly out of nowhere that this is happening? Well, there's a few things that I've taken from social media that I've kind of processed in my head a bit, and it does make some sense to a certain extent. For example, Sony recently revealed that they have nothing really big planned for the next fiscal year. So basically, for the next year, they're not planning to release any big AAA games, at least first-party ones. And so people are thinking maybe Nintendo changed their plans all of a sudden because they see, okay, there's not much competition to begin with. Might as well not release a new system now. Let the Switch do its thing for one more year. Let it just do its thing because there's no competition. Sales will slow down, but they're not going to slow down immensely because there's nothing really going on with the competition, right? That's one reason. Another reason is something that is actually, I believe, part of the reports, and that is the fact that Nintendo wants to make sure that there is ample supply of first-party games at launch. They want to make sure that the launch has enough games from first-party. And I believe that it was mentioned that it was specifically first-party games that they're waiting on, that they want to delay so that they can get some games from their internal studios out at launch. Now, that could be wrong. Again, I have heard that that is the case, but again, it may just be games in general. Again, there's a lot of things here to unpack because maybe there's some misunderstandings. We don't actually get to see the legitimate message that these developers have gotten. Like, developers have apparently received a message saying that, oh, Nintendo is going to delay to 2025, so make sure your games are ready for the first few months of 2025. But is that really what the message says? But the gist of it is that Nintendo simply wants to have more games at launch for the launch lineup. And that I can kind of get behind, because now I will selfishly admit, if Nintendo delayed the Nintendo Switch 2 for the purpose of having Metroid Prime 4 launch alongside it, so in other words, Metroid Prime 4 being the reason why the Switch 2 is delayed, well, selfishly I would be okay with it because it means, okay, they're trying to give Metroid the best chance it has, and as a Metroid fan, that's important to me. So it's kind of okay in my book, but again, that's a very selfish feeling, I know. I understand that. So right now, my feelings are mixed on this whole thing. I understand that some people will not like what I have to say. I understand that some people will understand what I'm trying to say. But right now, it's tough. This next year is reportedly going to be pretty light on content from Nintendo. The Switch will have a fairly light year, considering they are saving their biggest heavy hitters for next generation, which makes sense. It makes sense that Nintendo is saving all, like, the major heavy hitters, like 3D Mario, perhaps a Zelda remake of some sort, whatever the case, they're saving all these big games for their next gen. So in other words, we're unlikely to see anything from Nintendo this year for Switch, aside from a few remakes and remasters, and maybe some smaller titles here and there. So anyways, guys, those are my brief thoughts on the matter. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope I didn't anger anyone too much, but I just kind of wanted to get things out there. I know that my thoughts aren't too cohesive in this video. There isn't a moral of the story sort of thing. It's just kind of like, I just wanted to talk about it and get it out there. then I'm a little bit upset and frustrated by the news, but at the same time, of course, it's not the end of the world. We can all wait 3 to 4 months extra, whatever, it's fine, it's fine. Just the very idea that this is a very Nintendo thing to happen. To have something that's disappointing like this, and you're like, oh man, things were starting to make sense, and now they all of a sudden don't make sense again. It's a very Nintendo thing. Like, are they still going to reveal this thing? Again, rumor has it. Are they still going to reveal this thing next month? Or has the reveal been pushed back as well? Well, we're going to find out next month, right? So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.